Consultants, and welcome back to the sixth and final video in my 6-video series on the subject of why projects fail. The topic for today is how to enhance creative thinking, and I'm thinking of this in the context of team building. As first presented in my white paper called Energy Project Development Must-Haves from the Get-Go, a strong team is the third in my list of 5 top components that are essential for successful energy project development. And similar to what I said in the video on dealing with conflict, one of the keys to leading a successful team has to do with bringing together different perspectives in the spirit of mutual respect. A team leader has to foster an atmosphere where new ideas, concepts, and innovations can be voiced, heard, and possibly even put into action. People have to feel free to speak openly about their contributions and ideas or solutions to potential problems. That's where problems are solved, and it's also where team cohesiveness grows. But what do we do when the ideas stop flowing? What if there's an unprecedented, unique problem that requires creative thinking in order to come up with a solution? How can a team leader enhance creative thinking in their teams? Well, here's what to do. 1. Invite a good mix of people to attend and participate in a framing of the problem and coming up with some unique ideas and solutions. People from diverse backgrounds and experiences are going to bring very different and varied ideas and solutions to whatever problem may be presented. If you're involved with an energy project, invite members of the extended team, not just the inner circle. By that I mean not just the inner circle of engineers that are working directly on the problem. Call upon someone that's in your environmental group, someone out of the legal group, perhaps the admin that's working on all of the different components within the project, or some other in-house colleague or colleagues that you feel may add a fresh perspective and some insights to the process. The group of people has to have some interest in the project, obviously, and their skill sets need to be complementary so that you don't have a total mismatch. And I'm not saying that this should become a free-for-all, but I'm just suggesting that a team is more than the inner circle of engineers that are working on it, that are working on the problem. Sometimes people come up with ideas more easily if they feel that they're not being evaluated, or if they feel that they're not going to be held accountable for end results. You'd be surprised how someone who is distanced from the problem can actually come up with a great idea which can be adapted to provide a solution that never may have been discovered if you were looking for somebody that was in the middle of everything and in the thick of it, if you were looking for that person to actually come up with a solution. The second thing to do is to check the internet for specific tools and techniques that can be used in the group setting to frame the problem and boost creativity. There are many of them, and there you will find what their uses are, what steps to take to implement them, and there may be tips on how best to use a given tool or a technique. If the technique that you choose doesn't have a means to record progress as it's being made, be sure to designate someone to write down ideas. The third thing that you really must do is so important is you have to show support, appreciation, and give some positive feedback as ideas flow and solutions are provided, no matter how out on a limb they may seem to be, because this creates an atmosphere of safety, trust, and respect. There are also some things you shouldn't do. So here's what not to do. If it's at all possible, please don't rush through your exercise of creative thinking to solve a problem. Don't treat the exercise like it's just another item on your to-do list that you need to tick off. If there's anything that detracts from creativity faster than a speeding bullet, is to try and rush through it. You know the routine. You've been there. For example, all of a sudden, a meeting gets called, and a group of people are gathered into a meeting room. No one's necessarily been given much information about what's to take place. People may not have even had much notice. And then the group is told that they've been brought together to use a technique or a tool in order to come up with some creative solutions with regard to a given problem. And then they say, and this exercise will take 10 minutes. They put a time limit on it. Or they may say, we're going to run through this twice, or we have 2 different techniques, and we have a time stamp. We have 30 minutes in which to do this. I remember that there was a time when it seemed like doing SWOT analyses was in high regard, was highly favored. But I also remember there being situations where we'd be called into the meeting room and the group really wasn't given enough time to do a proper analysis of SWOT. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And so, in my opinion, we came out of meetings with inferior results. Another thing you mustn't do is to unintentionally stifle the creativity by putting on other restrictions, inadvertently sometimes. Perhaps the folks come into the room and the exercise begins just before people are going to engage. The leader says something like, we do things in here by the book, or we do things in this company by the book. Well, people that have been brought together to offer their out-of-the-box thoughts aren't going to be that enthusiastic to try and share some of their ideas when these kind of restrictions are mentioned before they even get started. And the final thing that you really must not allow during your creative thinking sessions is criticism, immediate evaluation, and negative comments, because that will thwart the entire effort. In American culture, people have become so conditioned to be competitive and to look out for themselves that creative team thinking has become a problem. So remember, research has shown that collaboration is an important part to coming up with brilliant ideas. 2 so-so ideas can be made great through collaboration. And furthermore, when everyone feels like they've contributed projects are more likely to succeed. So that's all I have to share with you today on the topic of how to enhance creative thinking. I hope that you've enjoyed today's video, and I welcome you to go back and review or to see some of the earlier videos that were prepared with regard to why projects fail. The topics and behaviors that I covered are not essentially the only or all of the reasons why projects fail, but they do provide very good food for thought, and they are in some ways quite comprehensive if you think beyond just the presentation. So you can go back and review things like keeping your eye on details, or asking the right questions, having the desire to succeed, or trust, and then again dealing with conflict, and today's how to enhance creative thinking. I've really enjoyed presenting these thoughts and ideas in the videos and giving you some food for thought. I hope that you've also enjoyed watching them. And until we meet again next time, I'd like to wish you all the best and every success in your project developments.